It's time for the Daily Stand Up Podcast presented by Agile Dad with your host, Lee Henson. Without any further ado, let's get started. Are you lactose intolerant? If you are, this is going to be the news you've been waiting for. I found a recent news article that shows that evidence of cheese making to circumvent lactose intolerance 6,000 years ago found in Poland. That blew my mind. Somebody 6,000 years ago knew that they were lactose intolerant. I'm like, what? So the next question had to be, okay, how did they find this out? What were they looking for? And how nerdy can I possibly get on an agile, not so agile episode of the Daily Stand Up Podcast? So here it is. Analysis of Neolithic pottery shards show that in Northern Europe, where poor soils and low sunlight made primitive agriculture extremely difficult, people were making cheese in places like Poland potentially as far back as 9,000 years ago. That's crazy talk, right? Examinations of perforated vessels not only found the presence of the dairy protein casein, which suggests the creation of curd-enriched products from raw milk, but casein from cows, goats, and sheep, suggesting that they were making a kind long before most other forms of modern food production ever reached the continent. That's kind of cool. Common arguments for cutting out dairy products from the diet stem from that idea. What we have only been consuming dairy. Okay, check this out. Common arguments for cutting out dairy products from the diet stem from the idea that we have only been consuming dairy for a few thousand years and that no other mammal consumes lactose after infancy. Let's stop there. That was kind of a weird paragraph, but it makes sense, right? What they're trying to say is that, for a long time we haven't had records further back than just a few thousand years. But rather than a few, new research points to dairy consumption from herd animals as far back as at least the 6th millennium or 8,000 years ago. That's crazy. Researchers from the University of York point out that lactose intolerance would have been common in nearly all European populations at the time, but that the processing methods still used today create yogurt, kefir, and cheese were being used to overcome this intolerance. That is so interesting. Whilst previous research has shown that dairy products were widely available in some European regions during this period, here for the first time we have clear evidence for a diversified dairy herd, including cattle, sheep, and goats, from the analysis of ceramics. That is just so cool. So, Dr. Harry Robson and his colleagues, along with a team from the University of Krakow, looked at a Neolithic site in Poland called Stołecznik, which shows activity from around 3600 BCE. Small numbers of vessels had a white mineral residue that, when examined via proteomic and lipid analysis, revealed evidence of dairying from cattle and carpets, probably both sheep and goats. How interesting is that? The dominance of caseins could suggest that the residues formed on these vessels are the result of the presence of casein-rich curd products rather than milk or whey products. Cheese is composed primarily of curd proteins, while whey proteins and the majority of lactose remain in whey portion of curds when the curds coagulate. This shows that clever ancient Poles were managing to circumnavigate their own genetic lactose intolerance to add a substantial and protein-rich food source to their diets. Today, people who are lactose intolerant can still eat well-aged cheeses, owing it to the removal of lactose both during the cheese making and aging process. Although they probably don't realize this knowledge is as ancient pottery. Let me tell you, I'm a cheese lover, and that blew my mind. There is nothing better than getting a rich aged cheese. And, I have a few favorites. If you've never tried Cotswold cheese on a hamburger, you need to do that. It's life changing. It really does change the way it's got this sharp, rich flavor, but it changes the way that you'll ever consume meat. What I can tell you is there's so many other cheeses and so many other good things, but I thought it would be fun on this Friday to bring good news that, Cheese has been around forever, and that's a beautiful thing. And my challenge for you is going to be to leave in the comments or let us know what your favorite type of cheese is, and when was the first time you discovered it, and how do you prepare it, and what do you eat it with? That's going to do it. I hope you enjoyed this Friday Agile, Not So Agile episode of the Agile Daily Stand Up Podcast. I hope that you're having an amazing weekend. I hope that you're doing something awesome. And until Monday, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile. Until next time, do take care.